Hey everyone, I'm Tim, and this is Custom Made Everything. Today, we're going to keep working on the Comic Doctor. If you remember last episode, we had a couple setbacks. One of those setbacks that we had was that the resin I used had a yellow tinge to it when it was cured. So I went to the store, bought new resin, I poured a test square, and I'm happy to say it is crystal clear. I can't wait to try it on the comics. Speaking of the comics, that was another one of our failures. When I put clear coat on the comics, for some reason the ink on the decal bled. Well, turns out that's a blessing in disguise. I went on the computer and I redesigned them. I think this is a better, more accurate representation of what the comics would look like in real life if they were in a slab. So we're going to get some resin on those today. And I also was on the computer. I took the time to redesign the t-shirt decal. It's cleaner, looks great. Got it back on the shirt already. So next up on the body, we're going to take a look at those jeans. I finished painting them. It's time to remove the masking tape and see how much bleed got through onto the shoes and how we're going to clean that up. So let's get over to the desk. This has got to be one of the most satisfying things, taking the masking tape off after you paint it. You get to find out if your tape job was good or if you've got a whole lot of cleanup to do. In this case, as expected, because we used some thinned out paint, we do have cleanup, which will be no problem. I'm just going to use some acetone and an old brush. You want to make sure you're using an old brush because the acetone will ruin the bristles of any brush that you use. It dries it out. So this old brush, a little acetone, and being very careful not to get it onto the jeans because I don't want to have to touch that up. There we go. Now we have white shoes. And we're going to make these white shoes look like brown leather shoes. We're going to use the same technique as we did with the jeans, using watered down paint to make it almost like a wash. And the same as the jeans, we're going to start with a lighter color first. So we'll just apply this generously. We'll wipe off any excess to get our first base coat. As we can see, the first base coat was pretty thin, so I decided to apply a second layer of that lighter coat of paint. With the base coat dry, it was time I could go to the darker color and start washing over top of it. I continued to alternate between the light wash and the dark wash until I got the desired finish. You can see here, after multiple coats of alternating between light and dark, the shoes are starting to look the way I want them. And to finish them off, I'm going to use the dark brown paint that I was using to wash, and I'm going to paint the soles a solid color brown. Alright, so the pants and the shoes are done, the jacket and the t-shirt are done. The next step for this custom is the comics. And the decals have dried on the plastic and they look great. The next step is finishing clear on them. So you remember my approach was going to be put them into this tray with resin, and I'm wondering if that's going to be too thick now. So I'll still experiment with it, but I'm not holding my breath that it's going to work. One approach that I think might work is brushing on some resin onto the comic book. That might be the proper thickness. I've also wondered if maybe just a gloss clear aerosol spray is the way to go. So we've got a few ways to try it out. Stick with me. Let's find out the end result. So this is the block that already has resin poured in it. It's been in there for a few days and it's cured. I have two different size comics. I'm going to use the bigger size because I think the smaller ones are going to work better for scale. And like I said, this is an experiment. I'm not sure this is going to work out. But we're going to put this one in. I've got the resin here. Make sure this is all mixed up. And we're just going to use a little bit, pour some in. I have a feeling this comic is going to float on top of this resin once I put it in. But let's find out. So now I'm going to take this other one that I think is too big. I'm going to stick it in a tray that doesn't have any resin in the bottom of it. And I'm going to use this same kind of approach. I'm just going to put a thin coat on it. Well, I'm excited to see how these comics turned out, but we have to give them a chance to cure. Off camera, I came up with yet another way to make these comics look like they're in a slab, but you're going to have to wait for the next video to see that. Also in the next video, we're going to tackle this bobblehead. We're going to turn it into a non-bobble. think I've got the answer. But I'm happy to say that this project is starting to feel like it's coming to a close. The paintwork on the body is complete. I have an idea for the design work on the box, but I need to jump on the computer and get doing that. So, if you want to see the head, the reveal of the comics, make sure you like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.